Oh, yeah, it stays pretty cool in that one room, one area. We've got it in the kitchen and it's cool within in the kitchen. And we got fans that blow the cool in our bedroom. So
Yeah.
it's been okay. We've
that-
closed off all the rest of the house.
When they think they're gonna be fixed?
It's supposed to be in today or tomorrow,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, right,
We sent another to my sister's.
yeah.
'Cause
We
she
have
can't
2
stay.
units in our house. We had to replace one 3 weeks ago. Whole unit.
Oh, wow.
Everything's
Did that to
expensive.
$9,700.
Who did it? Who did it?
We did ours and we sold our house.
BEEDC Solutions.
Oh,
We did ours.
West,
West,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, sold our house, but right
It
before we
ain't-
got
it
this
ain't
one,
cheap.
this new one.
Nope.
Right, I was like, what?
We
So
ran
that
and bought
house
the
that we
window
sold to,
unit. I
Terry
said, we
Brown
need to have one of
had a
these
brand new,
anyway,
Yeah,
just for
Dishwasher in it, stainless steel
emergencies.
dishwasher, never been used.
yeah.
And a brand spanking new,
Okay.
air conditioner inside.
Wow.
So for $25,000, she got $15,000 worth.
Free stuff? Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, what time is it? It is 10 a.m. on August the 1st, and this is our city council workshop. Meetings are available to watch on our YouTube channel. Search for the City of Bruceville-Eddy and click the subscribe button. Please mute your phones and computers to avoid any interference during the meeting. Okay, and we are called to order here. To citizens' presentation, no, you want to read that first?
Roll call for
Yeah. Okay, the roll call, we got Councilman Wiggins, Councilman Prater, Councilman Griffin, and Councilwoman McLaughlin. And we have one out. And we have our city administrator, Kent Manton. We have our chief of police, Michael. And we have Pam Combs, our city secretary. And we have Esther, and she is our financial lady.
And for the BEEDC, this is a joint meeting with council. We do have a quorum today as a secretary present here. We have our treasurer, Patsy Duty. Our president, Weaver, is absent. Vice President Talbert is present. We have Director Anthony Duty and Director C.W. Horton. So we do have a quorum.
All right. Number 2 is our citizens' presentation. The city council welcomes public comments at this point on items not specifically listed on the agenda. Speakers must sign up before the meeting begins. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each. The council cannot respond to matters not listed on the agenda until a future meeting. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? No. Okay. All right. Moving right along. Number 3, city administrator presentation of the proposed 2024-2025 budget and tax rate. Kent?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, EDC members, staff, no citizens in here today. I thought we had a couple that were planning on joining us. I guess they weren't able to make it this morning. But as presented last week, gave you a brief overview at the City Council meeting on our budget. This was prepared in cooperation with the Budget Committee, which consisted of Mayor Pro Tem McGruer, Mayor Owens, Councilmember Wiggins. We also had Esther Moreno, our Finance Director, Pam Combs, our City Secretary, and myself. So today I'm just going to go over our budget, go over the timeline, go over some of the inclusions for this upcoming fiscal year, talk a little bit about our accomplishments for last year. I think that's always important to remember what we've done, what we've been able to accomplish. And then we'll provide some time for council to discuss the budget, request any changes that they want to see before August the 15th. And then we'll also have an opportunity for the EDC to speak about priorities and goals for their funding over the next year to 2 years. So just to go over the timeline, we are ahead of schedule. As I mentioned previously, this year is kind of a funny year. We're maintaining the same tax rate. However, for the first time, we're going to be generating over $500,000 in property taxes, which puts us outside of the small taxing entity category and into the large taxing category That really doesn't affect the timeline so much, but we are also going to be under the voter approval threshold by just a slight margin. So that gives us a little bit more flexibility on when we have to pass and adopt our tax rate and budget. So as you can see today, we're going to have this joint meeting with BEEDC. We're going to talk about the budget, any requests for changes, and then on the 15th is when we are going to have our second budget hearing and our tax rate hearing. And then assuming everything's been corrected to your liking, there will be approval at that date. So going over some of our accomplishments from this past year, we were pretty busy. I know staff's feeling it, especially here towards the end of the year. Had several of our projects all coming together all at once, and so we have been burning the candle at both ends for some of us, and it's been good work, but it has been a lot. We're hoping that's going to slow down just a little bit as we get through some of these projects. But just to go ahead and list them off, the sewer system's moving forward. I know that's the number one big priority we've had for many, many years. We got a green light on that. Still working through the loan closing, but I think that's a significant milestone to celebrate, and I look forward to ribbon cutting at some point over the next couple years. So we did have the passage of the 2 new sales tax. Those are specific. They help supplement the overall budget. Specific uses, though, right? For the EDC fund, that's all codified in law, what we can and can't spend that money on. And then street maintenance fund, specifically for maintaining existing roads only. So we had some major street overhauls. We got the 1 bonus street included with that, 4th Street. So we'll continue to take the wins on that. Yes, yes. Looks pretty good out there. We purchased the Durapatcher to repair roads more efficiently. We've had a few kinks with that, but we are working through interlocal agreements with McLennan County to purchase rock, and we've already done one for the oil, so to get those costs down to as low a point as possible. We also auctioned off underutilized land and unused equipment, which netted a little bit more than we were expecting in last year's revenue projections. So those were also huge wins. We kicked off the water line improvements in Falls County. That starts on Monday. So got through the bidding process on that. They're already staging equipment as of today. Thank you, Pam, for offering your family's land to stage some of that equipment out there. We really appreciate that. Various security enhancements for our water system and for City Hall. That includes lighting, that includes vehicle trackers, that includes extra cameras, just to name a few of the enhancements that we've been focusing on. Fence upgrades. So we purchased a couple new trucks as well as a back trailer for the Public Works Department. Those were definitely needed items. I think we all agreed upon that. That's going to slow down a little bit this year. We upgraded the council and court microphone system, just waiting on Asbel to be able to come in here and get all the equipment together. There's a couple parts on back order, but that should be taken care of here before the end of the fiscal year. And then we've invested in employee retention and training. I mean, that was the biggest component of any organization's budget. It's always your employees and insurance items, right? And that's no exception here, but I think it was a priority of council to continue to invest in keeping our employees. And then, of course, the creation of the Type B Economic Development Corporation. So, busy year. A couple outstanding goals that we have. We are working towards purchasing that sign for City Hall. Had a lot of back and forth with the vendor on that one, kind of miscommunications, but Pam's actively working on that, and we should have that completed by the end of the fiscal year. Lastly, the emergency backup generator and the connections for the water system plants, we just weren't able to fit that one in. It is certainly a high priority. We're just going to roll that over into the next fiscal year. So here's what we're looking at, tax rates. Council, y'all saw this last week. EDC members, if y'all are seeing this for the first time, we're going to maintain that 46 cents per $100 evaluation. That puts us towards the low end of the property tax valuations around the area. Currently, we don't have any property taxes supporting any debt service. So that gives us a little bit of room to work with if we needed to do that at some point in the future, but it also makes us stand out a little bit that we don't have to charge our citizens for that at this time. One note on your tax worksheets, we were informed by McLennan County Tax Office that the Controller's Office is going to be updating that spreadsheet. So you're going to see a slight change to the unused increment portion of that. It shouldn't affect any of our rates, though, but once I get that in, I'll update the budget accordingly. So here's an overview of next year's budget. So first and foremost, it fully funds our current operations. It maintains that property tax rate. It's going to fund significant improvements and maintenance to our water system, and that's going to be a combination of grant funding, either through Coronavirus Local Relief Fund or through Community Development Block Grants. It accounts for the construction and the maintenance of the operation of the sewer system in the first year. Funding for drainage improvements increases our investment in city streets. That's what I calculated out to be 46% increase from last year, and we've just been building upon that year after year, and that's outside of all the sewer system projects. It funds employee retirement compensation and benefit changes, provides funding for animal control services, enforcement activities, and it plans for the costs associated with the grant projects. For example, Community Development Block Grant does have a matching contribution of $25,000. So we should hear more back on that in February of 2025, but we just want to make sure that we're going ahead and account for it. So here's a breakdown a little bit further, just to drill it down. Investing in water system infrastructure and proactive maintenance. We've got about $40,000 that we were able to allocate towards that. We know we're still continuing to struggle with electrical issues at one of our well sites. And then there's probably some additional maintenance that we could do, i.e. we've got some water towers, water reservoirs that we've been cleaning over the last 3 years, but y'all have seen it in your inspection report. We've got ladder rungs that are completely missing. We've got pitting on the outside, maybe some repainting that we need to do. So that'd be something that those monies could go towards. Investing in those street repairs, increased base pay for our police officers, a 3.2% COLA for employees with 1 year of service, TMRS plan change that would fund the first ever cost of living adjustment for our retirees. We've got 4 or 5 retirees. They've never seen an increase in that pay since they've been retired. Consulting services for our water sewer system. That would be for hiring a gentleman with a couple Class A water, wastewater licenses to allow our employees to train under. Also just to provide us some general direction if we get ourselves into some issues. Consulting services associated with bidding, negotiating, and securing a new solid waste contract. So there's quite involved, the request for proposals process, and being able to push that out to a third party, I think would only benefit us in getting the most opportune contract. Maybe that's through our current vendor, or maybe that's through a different vendor, but we did set aside money for that. Equipment purchase for public works. I'll show some pictures of that. This is really just a new dump trailer this year. Purchase of culvert upgrades. We're going to be looking at both tin horns and concrete ones. Everybody knows there's that one culvert over there by Franklin, for example, that we go and repair, we fix, and then almost immediately a big truck comes through there. It can't get the turn radius just right, and it smashes it in. So we're hoping that if we could upgrade that to concrete, among a few others, that we would spend less time fixing and more time working on other things. That emergency backup generator and the connections for the water system plant sites. Of course, this could also be utilized in the future for our lift stations as well. This does reflect all the costs of the sewer system construction and initial implementation, plans for those grant projects, and funds some sort of animal control solution. Preferably right now, we're looking still at that interlocal agreement with the city of Waco. Wish we had some more solutions to throw out there, but there's just very few. So here's a look at our cash balance and debt. Right now we've got about 5.2 unrestricted in our balance. We did see an increase in the general fund, a little bit of a decrease in the water fund, but overall it did increase over this past year. Outstanding debt, that continues to go down. We're at $1.8 million, and a couple of those are going to be cycling off in 2026. Is that right? 2025, Esther? Okay. So that'll give us even more wiggle room as we pay for the sewer. So here's a look at the cost of living adjustment that we're requesting. We had Esther run a couple different scenarios, 2%, 3.2%. I think the other one was 5%. We're still playing a little bit of catch up from the pandemic, but so you can see here some of our neighbors are doing more catch up than we have. We actually did a 5%, I think, a couple years ago, 3% last year. Oh, I'm sorry, 6% 2 years ago, 3% this past year, and this year we're proposing that 3.2%. So talking with the other city managers, here's some other numbers that they're throwing out there to their councils. I'm not 100% sure if those are the numbers they actually went with, but those are the numbers they were initially playing with. And as you can see over here, we've got the Southern CPI from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. We're looking at about 3%, so we're right on track with that CPI. Here's a brief overview. I throw this one out at each of our council meetings. Just shows our budget expended year to date. So we're pretty much right on track. You can see we're about 80% through with the fiscal year, and we are under on pretty much all of our expenses, with the exception of PD. And then over here in the sales tax revenue, we are picking up a lot more than we initially planned for. So we're probably going to be a little bit over on that revenue stream this year. So here's some of our discretionary budget proposals. We've got these broken down by different funds. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and put a couple requests and amendments that I'm specifically asking for due to some errors on our part. Well, an error on our part. I'd like to increase line item 5060, which is going to be for fixed asset sales. We forgot to account for the fact that we were wanting to auction off the it's a New Holland is the name of the brand, right? I think I'm getting, but it's an old New Holland is what it is. So we're going to be auctioning off the old New Holland. Had to think through that one there. And then we did get a notice from DSHS Lab saying that they were just going to be increasing some of their fees. So we wanted to bump that up maybe by $1,000 or so just to account for that. Yes, sir.
When are you gonna bump that backhoe up?
Right now, I think we just have a small amount, and we can dig into the numbers. I don't have them right in front of me.
2,000.
Yeah, something like
What
that.
you have.
2,000 was what we have?
Yeah.
I would throw in another 2,000, 3,000. I'm not exactly sure what that old backhoe will go for, but always good to be conservative with it. Of course, we can get into some more discussions here on that one. Okay, discretionary expenditures for the general fund. This next year, we've got cyber pool coverage that council just approved at their last meeting. Traditionally, cyber coverage expenses have been funded through the pool, through your normal rates for all the members. However, due to the rise in cyber crimes, they've had to split that out and create a separate fund. And so I think it's only advantageous to us, even though we don't have a SCADA system for our water system, to make sure that we're investing in that coverage, because I think in today's day and age, it's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Something's going to go wrong, somebody's going to click on the wrong button, we're going to get some sort of issue. Of course, I knock on wood, but it's better to be prepared for that and covered for it. And this cyber pool coverage affects all of our systems and would be able to pay for a whole lot of extenuating circumstances there. Street repairs, so we'll continue to go through the budget or the street repair committee process as we've done in the past. It's been working out pretty good. I'll recommend that to council. But again, we'll just do another applying of reseal coat to the streets we've done in the past years that haven't yet received it, resurfacing another slate of streets, and then just the money that we need to pay for patching materials. It also sets aside money for our current court cases that we have in motion, both on the general fund side and the water fund side. That base rate increase to police officers, and you can see your spreadsheets for what that looks like. Tree trimming services for a portion of the city. I have been working with a couple different private vendors for that, as well as the county who's provided that service in the past. Really, the problem we've been having as a public works department is that we don't really have the equipment to, do this in a proactive manner. So we were thinking about coming up with a cycle map and doing maybe one portion Old Moody or Mackey Ranch Road, getting a lot of that just trimmed way back, kind of like what Encore does, but hopefully not quite as big as they do, and really just give us an opportunity to get a lot of that cleared out before an emergency occurs and we're scrambling. Animal control activities, we can certainly discuss a little bit of that today. The budget committee talked about a few different solutions for this, but unfortunately really the only solution we think is going to be legally viable and efficient is for a contract with the city of Waco. Now, last year we did discuss this. We had a $4,000 budget to work with, so we requested an interlocal that reflected that. And of course, that was for, I believe it was the 2 animals is what we could have afforded. This one would get us up to about 8 animals, but we're hoping that it will give us some flexibility to at least be able to knock on their door and say, hey, we've got one extra here. Can you take one extra? Because right now they're not even talking to us. This also plans for those grant projects, as I've mentioned a couple times now. On the water fund side, we've got the new dump trailer. This is going to allow public works crews to haul more spoils, more equipment. We would retain the older dump trailer. It does currently have a bent axle, but it's still pretty usable at this point. That rolling generator, as I talked about, Falls County water system upgrades. We're going to be paying a little portion of that here in this fiscal year. They are going to be progress invoicing us as they go throughout this project, so we'll have a lot of our expenses coming over in the next fiscal year. This also funds the new Falls County water well land site, so we've got a small budget for that. And then I think we talked about all the rest except for that bottom one there. Our engineering firm, MRB Group, has submitted a proposal for our first ever capital improvement plan. It's sitting at about $40,000. We do have to have that before we could move forward with impact fees, which is what the Infrastructure Planning Committee and our Budget Committee did discuss would be good to get ironed out at this point. Of course, the capital improvement plan, while it has a steep bill, it's also going to allow us to be even more eligible for grants. A lot of these grants ask questions like that. Do you have a capital improvement plan? Do you have an asset management plan? How are you going to be good stewards of the grant money that we give you? And so this will allow us to just do that even more so. And this is the discretionary expenditures that would hit all eligible funds. So that TMRS plan change and the COLA. Okay, and then we'll just get into these specifics real quick. So street repairs, we're looking at $102,000 or so. For street repairs, that's going to be about 36 or so from that dedicated fund and the rest coming out of the general fund. We've got culverts. We've got $7,500 for culverts. Most of those will be targeting some of those ones that are really needing replacement. The grant funding, we've got that set up, the $25,000 CDBG match. Rolling generator, right now we're working off $65,000 for that. Could be more, could be less. Got our water system line upgrades. Currently we've got construction at about $1 million for that, is what the bids came in at. And the design and planning for that is $144,000. Now some of that we've already spent out of this fiscal year, but we're accounting for that and additional projects in next fiscal year as well. And of course, this is all targeting that Falls County area where we currently have the development moratorium. New groundwater well, so we've got $10,000 to $15,000 set aside for that. That would include land acquisition, which is going to be a quasi-purchase, quasi-gift, depending on if the landowners accept the terms on that, and it would include survey costs. We've got water tank cleaning. We've been cycling this in year after year. Those costs were initially pretty high the first year we did it, but it's stabilized. Right now, I think we had a bill for $5,500 or so for 2 tanks cleaning this year, and we'll do the same next year. We'll probably have 2 to 3 tanks that we need to address. And then for the BEEDC fund, that's why we wanted to get everybody together in the same room to talk a little bit about what priorities council wants to see the EDC focus on. So this could be several different avenues that we take that 36,000 or so we will have at the end of the fiscal year, but what does that look like? Because we have to, as the EDC, we have to create a program to work with. Does that look like, and of course everything has to be under the guise of retaining jobs or creating jobs, but that could be street repairs, that could be water line improvements, that could be sewer expansion, that could be a park, a signage. It has several different aspects. We just have to get some more direction from you on that one. Okay, and with that, I'll open it up to council to begin their discussions, and then once we wrap that up, we can talk a little bit about the EDC fund as well. And we will just ask that anybody looking to speak, just come up to the microphone, or we can bring it to you, just so YouTube can hear everybody's conversations. Any
Y'all
questions
have
before I do that?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Y'all have any discussions on this?
Did we want to get
Mr.
started with
Mr.
those
Wiggins?
amendments?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so if y'all want to go in your budget to, let me pull that back up. I think I passed it, didn't I?
You go too fast for my eyeballs.
There we go. Okay, so increase water fund line item 50005060. So that should be on that revenue page.
Yep, I can see it.
I think you can bring a little more back. This is just off the whack. It's expensive.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Wiggins, you were right on. We had 2,000 currently set for that. What are we thinking we want to bump that up to?
Well, that thing right now is non-operable, right?
It depends on the day. It starts sometimes, but it does leak hide fluid like you wouldn't believe. So,
As they say, it's how they cross their eyes or grit their teeth, whether it works or not.
yesterday it did not start. They had to pull it out of the way so they could begin the pole barn construction. But last week it did.
Yeah.
Well, when it starts, injection pump,
They're not sure yet. They decided to just yank it for now.
mechanics on staff. You got one over there, I know.
Maybe weekend mechanics.
Shade tree.
Shade tree.
Shade tree mechanic, that's the proper term, right?
I'd run over and take a look at it.
Sure, appreciate it. Yeah, we tried charging it on the battery, but let you take a
It's one of-
more
it's one of those
professional
things.
diagnosis.
You may walk over there and it cranks as soon as you touch it.
Gotta know how to pull a hammer out.
That's a good question. The question was, how old is this piece of machinery? I'm not 100% sure.
It's old.
Is it on
It's
our
the one that I
equipment
don't have a number
list?
for. It is, but I didn't have a year to go with.
Yeah, doesn't say or doesn't have how many hours it has.
What was that year to date? It was 2651.
What?
For the water source.
Okay.
What is it,
Yeah, right here.
New Holland?
New
Yeah,
Holland.
5060 fixed asset sale.
And I can bring up a picture of that too. I forgot to mention, I do have all of our vehicle equipment here so we can discuss if need be. There she is, right
There
there.
it is.
Oh, that'd sell good at auction if you got it running.
You got it running?
If you got it running, it'd sell good at auction. That's what they look for, that type of.
Okay. So y'all did get it
Yeah.
done yesterday, you said?
We don't know the year and model or how many hours it got.
Y'all want to shoot for, say, $3,000? And if we get more than that, that's great, but that's going to give us $3,000 more to work with on the expenses to get us a balanced budget. Yes, sir.
You can generally look on, I mean, I'm on that side a lot, you can generally look in there and just about nail where it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean, they run pretty much the same regardless of who's selling it.
Okay.
So, how did you come up with 2,000?
We don't currently have this included in the budget. The 2,000 was for other auction
Well, I
items.
just
but-
mean, yeah, I think you're looking at a lot more than $2,000 for that tractor.
Oh.
Was
But,
thinking
I mean,
maybe,
you get a close number
maybe,
on it.
maybe 3 to 4 or something like that?
If I thought
five.
I'd be 6 or 7, I'm sure.
Okay.
If it's running,
If it starts, you can get 5.
Oh, yeah.
It'll almost jump out there.
yeah, it
Yeah.
almost jumped out.
Okay.
3 or 4.
You want to go with 5,000, bump it up to 7,000 total?
It's better to
Yeah.
be conservative and undershoot. Well, I think conservative about
Yeah.
it, but I think you.
So just bump it up to like 5 for right now and see what happens?
I mean, this stuff doesn't cheap.
No.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll bump it to 5 and see what happens.
A total of 5,000 for that
Yeah.
line item? Okay.
Everybody agree? Okay.
We got an auction, this Saturday.
I mean, I can start looking on there and I can give you a number of what they're going for now.
Okay.
It's not hard, it's pretty easy to do.
All right,
There's a
appreciate
couple
it.
of them out there at Clark's right now.
So the next line item we were going to look at was those water sampling fees. I did not do the math to figure out exactly how much we would see an
Right.
increase, but this would be, sorry. There we go.
There it is.
This would be line item 6716. I think $1,000 to $1,500 additional would give us some room to work with. So right now, we've got 10,000 in that line item. Year to date, we're at 8,700,
Yeah.
34, sorry. And
What is
bumped it
that,
up.
9 months, Esther?
When was this report?
The 15th of July.
15th of July. About 9 months.
So we're tracking right around 12,000.
Do you want to just apply the entire additional revenue that we just recalculated from the auction sales to this line item? That would balance us out immediately.
Yeah. That'd be about 3,000.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
13,000?
It'd be 13,000 for the water samples.
Yes, sir.
And of course, this year, we did have a big cost because we purchased the lab kits for those PFAS samples. So that was about $2,000. Right, that went to that line item?
Yes.
right, Esther? Okay. All right. Good there. Any other amendments that you'd like to see for the water fund?
I don't see any. I don't see any for the
Don't see
water
anything.
fund.
Okay. Anybody else see anything they want to talk to down there? Okay, we'll
How
move right
about for the
along.
general fund?
The only thing I can think of in the general fund is that 10,000 that we have set aside for the animal.
Animal control.
We need to keep in mind that we had 4,000 in the budget for this year's budget, and we've used over 3,100 so far. And I don't see that we'll be able, at $1,333 an animal with the contract with Waco, I don't see that we'll be able to do over 4. And maintain, still a $4,000 or $4,500 budget for the city too. I mean, I wouldn't want to use all that money toward that contract with Waco.
Sure, if we went with that 1,300 price point per animal, a couple things to keep in mind. That's just going to allow us to drop off the animal. Right now, we're doing a little bit of spaying, neutering, getting vaccines, trying to make the animals that we do have to take in marketable for adoption. It's worked out a little bit, hasn't worked out entirely, but those costs would go away if we just are able to take that dog to Waco. Waco will handle the
All of that.
boarding, fostering if they need to do that, the vaccines, the spaying and neutering, so all that's rolled into that price. But
Yeah.
if we did $1,300 at 8 dogs,
Yeah, per animal. Could be-
we'd have to do 6.
How many animals are we averaging?
It's
sorry.
the ones, go ahead. No, I was just gonna answer, but I was gonna let you.
Just, how many animals are we averaging in a year? I mean, guesstimation.
Probably 10 to 15.
I was gonna
That's
say
with
at least 15.
with
So-
deferrals.
So if we only get to take 4 to Waco out of 10 to 15 and pay $1,300 a piece,
We drop them off, CW's out.
I mean, that,
Yeah, but
I hear you.
Yeah,
I wish I had
it's-
another solution
it's
for
so
you,
expensive.
but I don't.
I mean, if you pick up an animal, like if we pick up one and we have to house it, well, we have to take it in, and we take it to the vet to have it checked out first. It depends on the animal, have it checked out. Well, the vets are charging you anywhere between $180 to $300 and something to check this vet. Then if he has to have his shots, you got to go there. You can't take it to the ABC clinic because it's city. Only individuals can take it to there. So what I've been doing, or if I adopt that animal out, the city will pay to get it fixed, but you got to call them and make the appointment for your dog, and then that way they get it at a $65 or whatever.
It's 50 to 65.
So it's just, and then some people they've adopted some animal. A lady adopted one the other day, but she's going to take care of all that herself. She's not asking the city to help. But by the time you go to a vet and you get his shots, get them fixed, get them in good health. If they're sick, you're going to have to give them medication. You're looking at $700 or $800 just for that one dog, just at the vet.
I don't understand why the city's responsible to do all that.
So we have it in
I
our
don't
ordinances to enforce, say, for example, dogs at large, right? Right now, we've been heavily relying upon reunification, but that's not always accurate because we find a dog and they're not microchipped. There's no dog tag. We go around knocking on doors. Nobody knows where it came from. It might have been dumped on us. And so what do you do in that scenario? Just let it keep running? That's what we've been doing. We just let it keep running. Now, Chief Dorsey can probably speak. I know he's probably not prepared to do so, but when he goes out on an animal welfare call, that is really the bulk of the dogs we have been forced to take in, because these animals are either related to a criminal case and those animals have nowhere to go, or it was a seizure due to a welfare concern. And so when you bring those dogs in, you're seizing them, and you do have to get a vet to check them out. I think that's one of the legal requirements for that. And then, of course, we have to maintain them. And then what happens when that animal doesn't come to reclaim it, or that owner doesn't come to reclaim it? Maybe they're in jail, they've moved off. Now we're stuck with the dog that we can't take anywhere. It's now legally the city's.
Or you do find them,
Yeah.
the owner, and they go, well, I'm just going to surrender the dog.
Surrender the dog to the city. I can't take care of it. Yeah.
So you're stuck, and then if you start, I don't want to get in that trouble.
Dogs get euthanized. I mean, I don't like it, but I live on Mackey Ranch, and they used to dump these things on us constantly. Every time Fort Hood got transported out, we got new dogs at our place. And, I like animals and all, but I don't want a pack of dogs out there chasing my kids either, so I took care of it. I think as a city, if we're spending $1,300 an animal, we don't, apparently we don't know what the percentage of animals we turn over to Waco get euthanized, but I would venture to guess if it's costing them $1,300 an animal, they're euthanizing a lot.
Right, and well, first off, we're not spending that $1,300. We don't have a contract with Waco right now. If we do, that's what it will be. Now, in their contract, let me read this to you. Their contract says that this shelter will hold animals brought to it from Bruceville-Eddy for 72 hours, after which time the animals will become property of the shelter and will be disposed of by adoption or euthanasia.
Okay,
So after 72 hours, we're gonna pay them $1,333, and after 72 hours, they can either put that animal down or adopt it.
Why can't we?
That's what the
do
contract says.
Why can't we have, because it's a state law, I've looked up the state law, and cities have 72 hours, they can find an adoptee or a foster, and then after that, they can legally put the animal down. Why can't we wouldn't that be cheaper?
It probably would be a little bit more economical. That is something that's fully within our ability to do so. I just need some additional policy direction from council on when that timeline comes.
we take care of it. I know you love animals.
I've got a lot of
Linda,
animals.
but I know you can't keep 50 animals at your house. The point is, being a responsible animal owner, you take care of them and you provide for them, or you take care of them so they don't suffer. That's all I'm talking about. I don't want to come across as a horrible person. I'm not, but I'm going to take care of my animals.
They do.
So,
Yeah, they
yeah,
do.
the city of Bruceville-Eddy and the city of the Crawford are the only
the
two
only ones
cities
that do.
incorporated in McLennan County that do not have a contract with,
We don't have,
with,
yeah.
with
There's only like
Waco.
3 counties.
But let me clarify this. There are a couple cities who only have a contract for one animal. You hear what I'm saying there? Do you really think that they're just taking one animal per year? Maybe, but from what I've heard, and I hate to fully put this on record out here, but I think at least going through an interlocal agreement will at least get us on board with Waco, and maybe they will have some greater flexibility to take a couple extra animals if they have the ability to do so. So
But that didn't
at
stop
worst
the
case scenario,
citizens for carrying one over.
that's correct. The new, it would not allow the
Citizens
citizens to
can
take,
it over.
No,
Only
they
if the
can't.
city takes it.
not on this contract.
Not on
Not
this
on this
contract,
contract.
no.
They are so full at the Waco
read the
Animal
contract?
Shelter that they can't.
Well, I
they
know
can't
that
allow it.
they are getting rid of the ones that are aggressive and that are really old. Because my daughter has a contract with them.
It is over 90% or so live release rate, so they say at the
Mr.
city
Tolbert
of
had
Waco.
his hand up.
There was a question here a while ago, and this has been going on for years and years and
Yes,
years,
sir.
this ain't something new. It's in the public health and safety and welfare for the cities to do this. That's all it's about. No more, no less. So it's a legal thing, is it something that we relish to do? No, but that's part of being a city, a municipality. If you don't want to be a municipality, then you just get out of the business. And it's a tough situation, because we all got a heart, you know, but it takes money. It takes
So
money,
to-
and people get bitten here more than one time, and it gets dangerous. So that's the reason you do it.
Thank you, sir.
It needs to be done, I just think,
Okay.
the city's supposed to be good stewards of their money.
Yes.
And I find it hard to believe that $1,300 for an animal is a good steward of our money, when ultimately, we know what happens to 90% of these. I don't know what the number is, I'm sure we can find out. How many do they euthanize down
don't
there?
matter.
If we're paying them $1,300 to hold it 3 days, which cost them about, maybe $15 in food, and then they execute it, all they're doing is running a business
Right.
doing this.
Yeah.
We could do
Well,
it.
obviously, if they're euthanizing them, they're not taking them out back and shooting them in the head. They're giving them a shot.
They have a vet, and we would have to use a
Okay,
vet.
Mr.
That's state law.
Mr. Wiggins had a question.
Well, no, a statement.
Statement.
You know, with their contract here, and this was last year's, Moody has 1, Lorena has 6 dogs, and Hewitt, for example, has 44, McLennan County 93. So these people are paying some money, you know. Golly, Waco paying 171, over 171,000 per month. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and Moody for one dog pays $111 a month. I mean, that's at $1,330.
So Moody says they had 1 dog?
Just one,
Okay.
or one animal, could be a cat.
We've got 15 here. Somebody threw that number out, right?
Yeah,
About
yeah.
15?
I don't, we can't afford that. We can't afford
Well,
that.
no, I just mean,
Yeah,
how did we end up with 15? Well, because Moody has enough sense to say, we're not spending 13, and they drop them over at my place. This is not a hard thing to figure out. We got people in here who love animals. I understand that. I do too, but I'm a responsible owner of my animals.
right.
And that's what we're supposed to be responsible for here, is the money that the city has to spend. This
Right.
is not a responsible way to spend our money.
Right.
Sending an animal somewhere and paying $1,300 for it, my God, people.
Where they may be using
We're maybe after 72 hours, you know, like, to your point, after 72 hours, they could put that animal down, and we paid them $1,330. Yeah.
We're
We could pay
responsible as a
200.
city, but I don't know, does anybody here know what our legal responsibility? We should have a program to take care of animals that are a problem. That we should definitely, we do
Well,
that.
but
I know what the state law
that-
is.
What is it?
It is that a city is responsible for 72 hours for that animal. During that 72 hours, they are supposed to look for the owner, try and find the owner if there is one. And if there's not, then after 72 hours, they can either, or during that 72 hours, they try and foster it or find adoption. After 72 hours, they have the legal right to euthanize that animal.
So
That's
what
right.
we need to know is what's our legal responsibility or requirement to do that.
Right,
Let's look at that, before we go down this road.
Yeah, but I mean, what she said is our legal.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm
But-
talking about there may be a legal way. In
Oh.
other words, you may, I would just assume everybody's doing it with shot, but do we have the structure set up to do that and not be
It has to be done by a vet.
has,
Well,
we would have to have a contract with the vet.
Yes, that would
It
what
has to
you'd
be
want.
done
Well,
at a vet.
you'd also have to find out,
right? You're gonna have to have somebody sedating it and all
So
that.
someone would have to transport it to the vet, and then the city would pay to have the dog put down.
Yeah, I've taken some over there, and they've had to be put down.
What did
And
they
then where,
charge you for
what do
that?
they do with the body of the animal? What do we do?
They
with
have
it?
a contract with a local crematory.
And I'm just interjecting that if we, to me, 72 hours
Which they make you pay for.
It's
You
not
have,
long enough, because if someone's out of town and their dog gets out,
That's not our control.
well, I'm giving my opinion, that if my dog got out when I was out of town, I'd want longer than 72 hours.
Well,
That's
she's
just
just,
my opinion.
Well,
she's
that's-
just saying that's how long
okay.
we have to keep.
That's our state, but we can make it as long as we want.
okay, I'm gonna finish your question, then we're gonna kind of wrap this up on the animals. That's why the city wants everybody to chip their dog. That way, if your baby got out and you're gone on a vacation, you would want somebody to pick it. They would know who it was. They'd try to get a hold of you, find out you're out of town. They would hold it. Or, I mean, it would come to me, or the city could, for you. But that's why the city law, you need to have your babies chipped. I mean, that helps so much. But
Well, and
anyway.
that's a service that we're providing at
And
no
we
cost
provide
now.
that, we provide that service for the citizens.
So when you said you take some over there, what they charge you, what did it cost you over there?
Oh,
We need to consult this to council now, I think.
Okay,
Council
all right.
has a question.
okay,
Well,
let me,
No, I'm gonna
okay,
hit
it's
that.
$300 and something.
Okay, so if we look at it just from that perspective, if we're talking about really taking care of this problem, that's 4 animals we could take care of at the cost of what they're charging
One.
for one. So in essence, I mean, just from financial perspective on this thing,
Right.
we can do more for the community, being able to euthanize multiple more animals than just 4.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
I see 4 running around sometimes all together, there's your
okay,
whole
all
budget.
right,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Well,
Okay,
I think a lot of people don't chip their dog because, just like you say, if they go out there, after a while, they say, boy, this dog's costing me some money and I don't want it anymore. I'm gonna go out there to CW's and drop it off. If it's chipped, then they know where that dog comes from. So that's one reason probably some people don't chip them.
all right, okay. Mr. Prater?
also, we need to find out the state law on how to get a hold of the owners. I mean, we don't just get a dog for 72 hours and what's our legal, do we have to post it in the paper? I mean, is that a cost that we
Yes.
have to? I don't know how you'd post it in the paper for
What
72
I would
hours.
recommend,
Yeah.
if y'all are okay keeping this $10,000 budget here, that'll give us some flexibility on the upcoming year to spend it either through interlocal with Waco, or if we wanted to do our own euthanization contract with a vet. However, I would request that council come up with a policy to guide staff on the timelines, and we can help with the legal research on our requirements for what that would look like. Maybe we hold them for 30 days, maybe we hold them for 60 days and try to foster it, but at that point, a decision has to be made.
Yes, okay. Mr.
Okay,
Wiggins?
I say let's check with a vet and see what kind of contract we can get with a vet for
Okay.
euthanization. And then, as far as the disposal, the cremation, maybe we can check.
We need an ordinance.
Well, we can check here, if we're gonna spend our money, to me, I'd rather spend it locally. So we can check with Danny and see what we could get a contract with her for.
Okay, all right, we can do that.
And I feel like that I agree, the 72 hours is not a long enough time to find an owner, but I think 30 or 60 is too long. I think, you know, we need to have a reasonable amount of time and maybe have an ordinance that we could put in place so people would know, you know, you got 14 days. If your pet's missing, come check with the city. Find out if they got your puppy or your kitty or whatever. And it's a reasonable amount of time, and it's not gonna cost the city so much to feed and house and all of that.
Good to go.
Yes, ma'am.
So who's gonna take care of this? Do we have to hire someone?
That's a good question. So we have a community development specialist, and one of his purviews is animal control. So he would be able to handle a good deal of this, but not all of it. Like, for example, the euthanizations, he wouldn't have a license for that.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But
Okay.
it-
Yes, Mr.
So just to recap, if you see about getting a contract with a vet, and then see about getting a contract with,
The crematory.
Danny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we can move
That's
right
good.
along.
That gives me plenty of direction. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we can
Thank
have
you, guys.
further discussion on this at a future city council
Yeah.
meeting.
Thank
And of course, when we get into special call council meeting here in about 10 minutes or so, there'll be another opportunity for the public to comment on anything in the budget.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay, the next one here is just a discussion with BEEDC members on the priorities and goals for EDC funding over the next year. So I'll just speak, and Mr. Talbert, unless you want to kick things off for EDC. Yeah, talk a little bit about what we've been discussing.
More about what can be anticipated coming for as that goes, and then I have some ideas maybe,
Sure.
the expense part maybe.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
So we've had a couple EDC meetings so far, and we really just spent that time getting our members oriented with the process, what's going on in the city of Bruceville-Eddy. There has been some discussion about our previous comprehensive plan, the 2011 comprehensive plan. We're making some adjustments to that, or recommendations to council for some adjustments to that. But in general, we want to reflect and supplement and have that synergy with what council's goals and priorities are. I've mentioned to my fellow EDC members that the bulk of that, from my opinion and understanding of getting to know y'all over a couple years, is that infrastructure is a big priority. And so I've been talking a little bit about that. We also discussed a park. I've heard that from several folks, not just on council, but also amongst our community, that a park would be really something good to have. So by the end of the year, we'll have about $36,000 or so. You can go ahead and just double that for the next year after that. I'm being a little bit conservative with those numbers. We're not exactly sure how that's going to play out, but that would give us a good amount of money to contribute to some sort of project.
I'm surprised how much sales taxes we get now. No more, but I think the restaurants kicked in quite a bit. And when this travel center, because they're making pretty good progress right now, come on, give you quite a bit more. But any kind of project that we can undertake with council's injection is gonna be expensive, more than likely.
Well, that's when you hopefully got
I have no
volunteers.
problem with money for the EDC is doing street improvements, water system improvements, anything like that. But I'd like to see maybe something more to showcase our city. And maybe help bring business in here. You know, but I don't know how we could have a little visitor center or somebody to man it, you know, to say, hey, this is who you call when y'all wanna come in here and look at things. This is who we'll have land and talk to somebody at the city and different things and utilities. Or I'd like to see something like the city park up on the 40-something acres, so it's got a nice gully through there, and you could always dig a tank lake. Of course, I know about the liability, but everybody else has them, and then you plant a lot of trees and picnic tables and things, and that'd be something probably over a long period of time. That would be something that the community, like a little community center kind of thing, the park. Or, Loreta's got some stuff when you start in the city both ways, right? Slater, I really like that. They got a yucca and a cactus. And welcome to Slater. You know, I don't know what we could do here to come up with a unique thing for people coming
do we have to spend the money, or can we let it build?
It can build.
Yeah, we don't have to spend the money for that year, we can let it build. That's-
Mr. Wiggins, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'd like to hear the other EDC's comments or their suggestions, EDC board members.
What y'all would like to see the money on a build up?
Everything he says sounds great. But I think we had this discussion here on the city council meetings here. We gotta kind of play off what the city wants to do. I mean, we made some suggestions one night, and I know we talked about it later a little bit. We've got to really want to know, we keep hearing, well, we want a small town, a small town feeling to this town. Well, first off, what that means to you, I know where I grew up, and I know what a small town feels like to me, but I don't know what it feels like to everybody else in the community, really. There needs to be a lot of discussion from people locally here, what that means. To me, it means we got street lights going down our main street down here. It means we got a center like he's talking about, where we can come and, have city functions, like city, instead of having this beer fest over here, we have a,
Civic center.
city picnic or something.
Like a
To me,
civic
that's what small town means, but I don't know that that's what it means for other people.
Well, that 40-something acres is valuable. That 40-something acres is very valuable in a situation like that. It's just gonna take time and money.
Well, and that's the other thing. I think the 40 acres is on the other side of Fourth Street, isn't it?
Yes, it's off
Anaheim.
Is that advantageous to our growth, what we're looking to develop here? Our city's not really set out, the landscape of where we're at here, it's not really set out to highlight our main features along the interstate. First off, it'd be crazy to use land along the interstate that the city owns to do much of this on, because that's where we're gonna get most of our revenue. People come in with businesses, they're gonna want people to see them. We don't necessarily need that for our park, but if we're the park at, is it maybe better for us to sell that and buy another piece of land that's either along 107 here, something, in other words, we don't have any of that, do we? I mean, do we have something, I haven't seen it. Do we have something that says, well, this is our industrial complex, and this goes to your deal about, we wanna draw business, and we do. But we have to tell them where they're able to do these things.
Well, it's in the city planning thing, no matter.
Yeah, this only.
It's in the zoning,
Okay.
yes.
And so,
But see, the park is for the people, the community, the kids, and there's public houses there. And there's gonna be more and more someplace for the people in the city to have a little community center, to have things like you said, and for people together over a period of time. But it's gonna take a little while, a little planning, and, to get started, because it's gonna take quite a bit of money.
I don't think CW was finished.
well, I just, things got kind of a little heated there when we were talking. EDC, we're not elected people, and that's the reason we got you guys on the city council. You're the ones people are gonna complain to, not me. But our deal is just trying to help guide your plan. What is your plan, and we're gonna help direct that, whether it's through communication with the citizens, encourage them along those lines. But that's something that, and you talked about earlier, it's something that's gotta be reevaluated, because I think the last one we decided had been done, 10 years ago?
2011.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, for my business, I got a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, but I also have a 1-year plan. And how am I gonna get to the objective out there if I don't get this done this year? And so the city's gotta pretty much be the same way. We're a small place right now. But as soon as this sewer comes in, this is gonna change rapidly. That's the reason it should have been done 30 years ago. Our city would be much larger right now. But at any rate, that's fixing to be taken
pick up some common themes in these conversations, and maybe the best place to start is just to spend some of this initial EDC money on getting a new comprehensive plan and paying a consultant to come in and engage with council and our citizens and do stakeholder conversations and see if we can all get on the same page about what we want to look like going forward. I'm guessing that would probably be $10,000 to $20,000 initial cost. And that would allow us to get on the same page before we begin with campaigns and signage and all that.
All right.
That's my
Anybody?
thoughts.
Yeah.
As a EDC member, I'll go ahead and take that hat back
Yeah,
off.
you're welcome.
My city administrator back on.
Okay, all right, we're running, let's see, we've talked about, most all of this already. Okay, so, now, number 6.
John, okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Mr. Prater makes a motion to adjourn,
I'll second.
all right. All in favor? Okay, it is now 11:04, and this, workshop is now closed. Do y'all need to take a pause? Okay, let's take a quick pause, and then we'll come back to our regular meeting. Okay, well, thank you, sir. Yeah, it's all about you. We,
I love you, Liz, and I hope you don't hate me. I know that is.
no, honey. Okay, yes, I am an animal lover. If I could, I'd have thousands of them out there. But I'm realistic, okay? And I understand.
Should be
Okay.
You know, I hate it when they quit using that, I'll never euthanize an animal that wasn't completely damaged or torn.
That's the ones I carry.
They used to, they used to process these animals out.
Yeah.
Certainly not for that, but one thing I noticed is when they legalized that, suddenly people were letting these animals die in the pasture.
Wait, where's Richard set?
That's a horrible result for what
I agree, sir.
Where does Richard sit? Right here, right? Okay.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jesus.
We can leave the table there. That's fine. If you're okay with that.
Perfectly fine.
Just trying to get us up here.
Need to get that application in. She said, I don't think I'm smart enough. I said, my gosh.
I don't know who that good-looking man is. I know that pretty lady.
Yeah. That was at my granddaughter's wedding.
Y'all look awful sharp there.
And I got to marry him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yep.
That is great. Yep, those were on, that one's on, they're on.
Mine don't.
There, mine's on. Okay, they're all on now. Okay. And we're all in here, so I'm gonna put this over here out of the way, that heavy thing, but you don't, yeah, I got everything. All right. It is now 11:14. And our special call city council meeting is now in session for August the 1st of 2024. Meetings are available to watch on our YouTube channel. Search for the City of Bruceville-Eddy and click the subscribe button. Please mute your phones and computers to avoid any interference during this meeting. I want to thank everybody for being here. To my left here, I have Councilman Wiggins, Councilman McGruer. He is out of town. McGruer. I get those two, Miss McLaughlin and McGruer. It's just all but it's too close, yeah. And we have our city administrator, Kent Manton. And to my right at the end, we have Councilman Griffin, Councilman Prater, and Councilwoman McLaughlin. And in the back, we have Cam Combs, our city secretary, and I think Chief Dorsey is still here. So, and that's everybody.
There he comes.
Yeah, here comes Chief Dorsey. All right. So if y'all would please stand for our prayer.
Chief, would you mind shutting that back door just slightly for us?
Oh, thank you, sir. He's getting it. Thank you. Lord God, we want to thank you today for everything that you do for all of us. I want to thank you, Lord, for everyone that is here in our council meeting today. Thank you for our city council, our city administrator, our city secretary, and all the employees that work here. I thank you for all of our first responders, that you'll watch over them, Lord God, and protect them while they're out there doing service for our city. Lord, I pray for all of the city workers. They're out there in this heat every day, digging ditches, fixing water leaks, repairing streets. I want to thank you, Lord, for keeping them safe. Lord God, I just pray that you'll continue to keep watching over all of us and to guide us all in the right direction. We're all here as your servants and as your children. We want to make sure that we do the right thing. And just give us strength and wisdom and courage to be able to take care of everything that we need to take care of for our city and for our citizens. I ask for all these things in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one nation, under God, indivisible. You may have a seat. Thank you. Okay. Number 2, city presentation. If the city council welcomes public comments at this point on items not specifically listed on the agenda, Speakers must sign up before the meeting begins. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each. The council cannot respond to matters not listed on the agenda until a future meeting. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? Okay, all right. Number 3, public hearing, budget. Council to hear public comments on the proposed budget for the fiscal year of 2024-2025 General Economics Development Corporation, Water and Sewer. And it is now 11:17, and this public hearing is now open. Do we have anything? Yes, sir. Would you like I mean to take you the mic, sir?
Yeah, I get it.
You got it, Mr. Wiggins?
I can't stand on my feet.
No, that is perfectly fine, sir. That is
I
no
speak
problem.
loud enough.
Well, yeah, but it still doesn't get over the, because that's what I tell everybody. I speak loud enough, people can hear me outside, but they can't hear
Thank
me
you.
on YouTube.
Well, I know like at the council meetings, sometimes it's almost impossible to hear when you're home on the computer.
Yes, sir.
So I'm glad to see y'all doing that. But on the budget, I reviewed it in great detail. And it's sort of humbling because I see the kind of work and discussion y'all put into this. And that's a big chore, item by item by item. And all the information you have to gather from all the department heads and employees and the people. I just want to say that a job well done. And I'll have a few questions here in a little bit about some of these items, which are not condescending or criticizing. It's just sort of like to know what some of them mean, that's all. But y'all did a good job, and I'm proud of you for whatever it's worth.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Anybody else have any comments or things? You'll have to stand up there and talk, sir. You'll have, you want to say anything? Oh, okay. Anybody want to, any more discussions or anything about it? Well, this is just this here is just a public hearing for people to, if they want to make, talk about certain, things, but we can't answer you. We can't discuss it with you, and we can't answer. We're just listening to y'all. It is, sir.
Number 3, so that should be allowed a lot of times.
Yes, sir. 'Cause, well, number 5 is also, it's council to discuss and consider, but if you have anything you want to talk about it on the budget, you're welcome to.
Now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let us get you the mic again.
Thank you. First thing, besides salaries, which I've known a long time, that's your big expense. Insurance is getting to where it's getting out of hand. Not only the health insurance, but the TMR other things involved in property insurance. So those are some huge items you all have to budget for, and this health insurance has got very expensive. That's basically what I wanted to say. And I noticed that attorney fees throughout all the departments has gotten estimated pretty high this year. I was wondering if y'all had ideas about what they would be, unless it's about some of the sewer and different things.
We can't discuss that at this point because it's a.
You can't?
Talk a little bit about some of the
Okay,
cases. that
Kent
are
can
public.
talk about some of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't go into the details about
That's
the
okay.
cases themselves. So council did budget this fiscal year. They increased all those line items specifically with the PD and with the community development for us to be able to tackle some long-standing cases relating to code violations. And so the great deal of the expenses for the attorney fees are going towards specifically one property in the Shady Shores area
Okay.
that we've been working through. That's coming to a conclusion, which is, I think, happy for everybody, but that's been the bulk of the cost there.
I wasn't questioning any one thing. I would just, it looked like it was across the board, and y'all kind of split it up, so.
Well, yes, sir. As you know, many of the projects and tasks we want to tackle here require us to consult an attorney, and
Yeah.
they charge for every minute of it.
And I noticed a while ago you was talking about the capital improvements and asset forfeiture. You got $525,000 in there.
Yes, sir.
Is something specific? Is that
Yes, sir,
kind of
that's-
money?
Yes, sir. That's the Community Development Block Grant. So that's accounting for the revenue and the expenditure of that project.
Okay. I think those are the biggest bulk of the items. I was just curious about some of them. In the construction in progress, y'all had quite a bit of money. And so that answers my questions.
Okay.
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, nobody else has anything else? Okay, no one has anything. Who?
We ran out of time a while ago. Did any other EDC members want to say anything about their money?
Okay, hand him the mic, please. Y'all can just hang on to it and pass it around.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. So first of all, let me apologize for coming in late because of work. And I think Colton is probably at work too somewhere. I came in on the tail end of what CW was saying there. And I'm just piggyback on that. I've been over the comprehensive plan. It's essentially city council guidance to us and the community and those that want to come into the community on where we want to be as a city. So I definitely and have been pushing for that plan to be revised. I have sent some suggested revisions to Kent, which he's free to share with everybody. Not everybody's going to agree with those. I do in principle agree that we should have a consultant come in and rework the plan. I just worry about the timing, right? That if we wait too long, we're going to be essentially very reactive instead of proactive, right? And what I request from the council specifically beyond that is we need guidance, right? We need to know what you want us to bring in, what you want us to pursue. CW is right. We need to know what properties are potentially available to a developer. We need to know, we need to be proactive and anticipate the questions that a major corporation may ask us. But really, what I think all the board members want is guidance from the city council, right? So if the city council could just kind of individually and collectively think about those topics, what you want to be, what you want to bring in. Do you want 3 gas stations? Do you want 10 gas stations? Do you want hotels? Do you want us to pursue HEB? Do you want us to pursue a distribution center? Whatever it is you want us to pursue, kind of from a military standpoint, give us the mission and we'll try to execute it the best we can, right? But I think the foundation of all that is the more I read the comprehensive plan from 2011, there's a lot of good things there, but there's some stuff that's just outdated and needs updating. So that's what I'd like to say. And again, I apologize for arriving later than I anticipated.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. Anybody else have any other discussions or anything that they want to discuss on this public hearing? Okay. It is now 11:26, and this public hearing is now closed. It is 11:26, and our regular council session is starting. And number 5, it says, proposal for the 2024-2025 budget. Council to discuss, consider, and take action on any desired amendments to the proposed 2024-2025 budget. Anybody have anything to say about that? Council?
Well, Mayor, real quick, I'll just kick off. I don't necessarily need a formal action for some of the items we discussed in the workshop. I can certainly go ahead and make those changes for us.
Right.
And get those before you on August the 15th.
Okay.
But this is your opportunity if you want to discuss the budget further. I know we did get cut off a little bit short on some of the other discussions, so all of that is germane to this discussion item, because it's all budget related.
Yeah. Anything, and now you can get people to interact. We can interact. Mr. Wiggins.
Okay. You know, we discussed about the animal control and maybe some of the direction that we might like to go. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that, to have Kent check with, getting a contract with a veterinarian for the euthanization, and also check with, Danny Bivens about getting a contract for after an animal's been cremated, after it's been euthanized, for her to do the cremation. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, and Joyce second that. All in favor of that? Unanimous, we have all four people. Okay. All right, anything else y'all want to discuss that was on the budget? Mr. Wiggins?
Okay. And as I hear the EDC, it's about making changes to the comprehensive plan. And, you know, right now, as far as I know, I think we need to check that out. And what I mean by that is, let's see about reaching out and see what that would cost. Now, I don't think we have anything currently set aside in our budget for that, but maybe the EDC would be willing to share in that cost once we determine what that amount may be. I know $10,000 was thrown out there, and man, that would be great, but I just think it's going to be a lot more than that for a detailed plan like we currently have. But if we're going to do it, we need to do it right. So, I'll make the motion for Kent to reach out and try to find a contract or see what it would cost to revamp our comprehensive plan and bring that back to council.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Prater, second that. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, anything else on the budget? Any other amendments of any kind? Okay. All right. Number 6.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Mr. Prater made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McLaughlin seconded. All in favor? Unanimous. It is now 11:30, and this special call to meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here.
We got a meeting on the 15th? What time?
6 p.m. When?
August the 15th. My birthday. Is it here?